Hi, this is Eternal King bringing you another LOR video today. So I'm going to do a pretty short one today and talk about a fairly simple concept that I feel a lot of people are missing when they're making the transition from Standard to Eternal. So I think the subject of today's video will be upgrading Standard decks to make them competitive in Eternal, or at least make them perform optimally in this format. So I think we're going to look at Zed Gwen. So Zed Gwen is a very powerful standard deck that most people are quite familiar with. Generally performs well in terms of what it does, being a straightforward kind of face smash kind of deck. So what's my mentality when I look at a standard deck that I want to play in Eternal and make it as competitive as possible? Well, the first thing I do is I look and see, well, what can't I play? Or what couldn't be played in Standard prior to making the transition. So honestly, in this instance, it's really just one card. And so the math here is exceptionally easy. Any ephemeral deck, whether it is Zed Gwen or Zed Hecarim, wants to be on Soul Shepherd. Soul Shepherd is the most powerful tribal-based buffer that exists for ephemeral units. So basically just presenting every single ephemeral ally that gets summoned, not even played, 1/1. That means that it stacks with Moonlit Glenkeeper. That gives every ephemeral ally that gets summoned 1/0. So what that means is that it both Moonlit Glenkeeper and Soul Shepherd are on the field, then they're both stacking their buffs. Or you just have two Soul Shepherds, as the case may be. So we have, two sets of essentially tribal mechanics working together here to make this deck more powerful, when previously we only had one set. And honestly, mana cost matters. So like, Soul Shepherd does everything Moonlit Glenkeeper does, but it does it for one less mana, which makes it a better card. Other things that you want to consider in Eternal is synergies. So Black Flame is actually a standard available card, but given that standard is all about board trading, it's not that good. But in Eternal, where it's all based on synergies, it's much more powerful. And a lot of it has to do with the inclusion, again, of Soul Shepherd. Black Flame basically means that every time you attack, whether it is based off a rally or whether it is just a normal attack, you are summoning an ephemeral unit. And that ephemeral unit is getting all the buffs from your tribal mechanics, which now exist thanks to Soul Shepherd. You're doubling up on them. And that means that you're triggering your Shark Chariots, which are going to be coming out. It means that your Shadow Apprentices are getting buffed, similar to how Greenglade Duo gets buffed. This card being much stronger thanks to the inclusion of Black Flame. Just the more ways we have to activate and buff Shadow Apprentice, the better. And in fact, I've even had, I've thrown a Shadow Apprentice into a Black Flame, and that works just fine too. Other things, obviously Zed is going to be stronger thanks to Soul Shepherd inclusion. Like, that's just common sense. It makes the deck much stronger, whether it is Zed Hecarim or Zed Gwen. Gwen, thanks to the 3 Opulent Foyers, which again, the old list only runs like 2 Opulent Foyers because they don't have Soul Shepherd. Again, Opulent Foyer being a better card thanks to Soul Shepherd. Sometimes it really is just like that one key piece that goes into the deck that makes everything else better, right? Soul Shepherd makes Black Flame better, it makes Opulent Foyer better, it makes Shark Chariot better, it makes Redeemed Prodigy better, it makes Shadow Apprentice better because again, I can run the more Opulent Foyers and the Black Flame. So things like that. It's that one piece that's just so important in this house of cards. Obviously, Zed's Shadow getting buffed on the swing is very, very important. And obviously you can Black Flame the Zed, which is very powerful, or you can Black Flame the Gwen. Or you just go for the Gwen level, which is fine too. And just, you do understand that it takes a while to level Gwen. In a deck like this, you have Boisterous Host, and you have Redeemed Prodigy, and you have Opulent Foyer kind of turboing out Gwen, but otherwise we're not that interested in the turbo Gwen. We're more interested in just pure swing power. And then the real star of this deck is Dragon Ambush. you know, if you play 2 Dragon Ambushes and you played 2 Shark Chariots and you've got 2 Soul Shepherds on the board, it's basically GG. Like those are your synergy points, and you might have a Black Flame down there too. That's basically swinging with one of your champions, and like that game is so far over. Like it's done. It's donezo. And then the one deny, because you want to be on the one deny in Eternal. It's just common sense. So that's kind of my mentality for upgrading standard decks, is just look at your synergies and then turn that up to 100. Look at the pieces that you're missing that you couldn't use that make your synergies better. And then that turns everything up to 100, right? And at that point, then you're basically just winning games. This deck will just, every game that I played with this deck I've won, because it's a case of just turbo synergy. And that's how you want to be rolling with everything. Another point, I think Sonny kind of took inspiration from my reviving of the support archetype, and he's, basically won 7 games in a row with his version. And now he's diamond now in the Eternal format. So just the idea of like auto level decks, turning up your synergies up to 100%. These things are very, very, very good in Eternal, more so than just open attacks and board trading and like Hearthstone stuff and fundamentals. Those things are less important. It is far more important that, like, when you swing with Poppy, this is like the main meta deck that everyone, thinks of. When you swing with your Poppy, everything is getting as big as possible, as fast as possible, right? And you're going as wide as possible. So, like, it's the big swing Poppy synergy. It's the big, the auto level Lulu synergy. Vlad should probably auto level in all of his decks as well. I don't think that's a hard thing to manage. Azir Aurelia, everyone that I see play Azir Aurelia plays Azir Aurelia wrong. If your Aurelia is not leveling, you're not playing her right. Like your Aurelia should be flipping. Your Azir should be flipping too. Like everything should be flipping. This is a high synergy deck. And if you're going for just like easy open attacks and then at the cost of flipping your high synergy champions, you're not going to be winning with this deck. Not as much as you should be, sorry. It really is a case of like the best decks are the high synergy decks. The atrocity on the big Nasus. I was even playing like memeing with Darius. I was playing Darius Overwhelm, and I was just like, I know that the best synergy point for Overwhelm is Battle Fury. It's triple Battle Fury every single time in a instant win Overwhelm deck, and it's triple Whirling Death, because Whirling Death allows your Overwhelms to swing for full damage, and then like old school Troll Chant and stuff like that being kind of the best way of winning. So recognizing those synergy points will allow you to take a standard deck and upgrade it to an Eternal level deck 100% of the time. And you will be amazed how far you can get with that, like how fast you'll start churning out deck concepts when you understand that fundamental concept of just like, okay, leveling champs is good. TF Draw is a good deck because it auto levels TF. Well, Lulu support is a good deck because it auto levels Lulu. Like right now, there's basically no established meta in the Eternal format because nobody understands the format and is able to put together a comprehensive list of decks that kind of cancel each other out. So anything that is highest energy and anything that is champ focused is going to be good. That's just period, full stop. That's just the way the game is. So it's just a question of like, what do you want to play? Zed Gwen, absolutely. I would recommend this if you're starting out in the format and you want to play something that is like 99% a standard deck, but just has like one new card in it. Zed Gwen's a great start. It'll take you pretty far. If you want to be a little more adventurous, ramp, learning the way that ramp works in Eternal, and like I see so many bad ramp players, it's awful. There's ramp is actually quite complicated. I think I've explained it before. Learning like what blocks to take with your faces, Cosmic Youngling being very important. Yes, usually you ramp twice out of the faces play, but you shouldn't need to ramp more than twice. At that point, you want to start going for things like a Burden Ice. Like hard committing a Burden Ice like several times is very important that I see ramp players not doing. Like if you've ramped twice, your opponent should be swinging for lethal pretty soon. So at that point, you're going to want to be playing harsh winds, and after that, going for your best buried nice you possibly can. Because if you don't do that, you're going to lose. There's not many opportunities you're going to have to just like straight ramp to 10 and not have to interact with your opponent's board at all. And sometimes Avalanche alone isn't enough to get you there. But yeah, that's just a little... That was a bit of a tangent, but the main tutorial was about, how to upgrade standard decks to make them better in Eternal. So, whether it is a Zed Gwen, whether it is just like a straight Freljord, Noxus Overwhelm list, I've seen people try to build this like entirely wrong. And again, they are just going, like, they're just not going for those big plays. Go for the big plays. Eternal is an exceptionally diverse format. You're not going to get punished on the Battle Fury, like 9 times out of 10. It's just not happening. There's just too many cards, and there's too many synergies, and there's too many champs, and too many win cons in this format for you to worry about something like, oh, Battle Fury is a meme card to put on an Overwhelm unit. It's like, no. Just go for it. Just commit the mana. Do it. You'll be surprised by how many games you'll just insta-win. Yeah, so that's a Eternal King signing out. Nice short video for today.